863-6931.
KCAA.
You're listening to U-Turn, a show about finances, nonprofit organizations, and politics in your county. And here is your host, Nadia Renner, Tom Murphy, and Eric Steinman with U-Turn.
Happy Sunday. Welcome to U-Turn. Happy Sunday. Before we start today's show, today's our third show, I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I know my mom's listening, so Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Likewise. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Happy Mother.
Wow, Eric.
All around.
She had 10 kids. She deserves a definite Happy Mother's Day. Same with Tom's mom.
Absolutely. Happy Mother's Day to my mother, who's 94, living in Whittier, and to my wife.
Nice. We are live. Tom is joining us from New York, and Eric and I are live here in the KCAA studio. This is our third show, U-Turn Radio Show. Third show. First show was great. We had a great show. We introduced what the U-Turn Radio Show consists of, and it's really just to bring awareness and missteps, misdirections of government, so we the citizens can help and manage a U-turn at a local level. And that's really what we covered our first show here on U-Turn Radio Show. Our second show consisted of...
Yeah, the second show was a bit of our story, and I'm glad we're going to move on today to tell other people's story. But just to review for show number 2, we described our experience and when we submitted 2 initiatives to the county of San Bernardino. And in short, Gage Bruce, who we had on the show, described what happened when he and 2 other proponents submitted 2 initiatives. They were promptly sued by the county of San Bernardino, who claimed that they didn't need that because the content of the initiative was unconstitutional, they should not have to do a ballot title and summary. And they took that to the court, and the county court supervisor, judge, signed off on that, and we're still tied up in court.
And today we have a great show. Like we said, this show is also for the people. If you guys also want to be part of our show and, be part of our conversation today or any show, you can always call us at 909-792-5222. That's 909-792-5222. But today we have a great show. Today we're going to raise awareness on how these people in these positions in the county and in the government interests are just their own and not necessarily us, the citizens. Their interests are higher wages for themselves and early retirement with a high pension that are not comparable to what middle class would get or retire at. We also are going to be talking about how they get paid usually about $250,000 a year, which is not even comparable to what middle class people get paid. And in addition, how they do this is by raising taxes, fines, and these are examples, permits, also cigarette taxes, restaurant permits, valet or loading zone fees, business, cable television fees. So they get all these different type of fees, and these are examples of how they raise the fees to get this money or to pay debt in the county.
It's an example of how it affects everybody, not just business people, not just older people versus younger people, but pretty much everybody, because the fees and the license fees and fines are something that everybody at some point comes across. And the purpose of it is not to restrict behavior like you would expect a fine to. After a while, it becomes how much revenue can we raise with the fine, and that's a little bit what we have on our show today, is looking at a different area where government's been allowed to grow unsustainably, and just how far will they go to pay for themselves. And again, it's when you talk about $250,000, I think that's the supervisor's salary. I just wanted to make that clear. In general,
yeah,
the people
it's actually total compensation for the supervisors. Average is around 250,000. So that would be both their salary and their benefits, retirement benefits, health benefits, all that calculated and added in adds up to 250K a year.
But Tom, isn't it fair to say that on average, if you take the people working for the county or the county and state, that they're on average getting paid about twice as much as the people that they're supposed to be doing a job for that aren't working for the government right now, at least in California? Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, it depends obviously on who you're listening to, but yes, there are what I believe are accurate analyses out there, where if you count total compensation and you apply it to kind of a full-time job, that government kind of across the board will bring in almost twice what your average citizen doing relatively the same job is bringing in.
Which brings us to our topic today. We have an article that brought our attention, and it's from Chicago. The title of the article reads, "Chicago is trying to pay down its debt impounding innocent people's car." So that came up to our attention because this impound program deprives people of their vehicles for years at a time and raises their fees. And this is a prime example, I feel like, of what we just touched.
Yeah, it actually, we've somewhat loosely titled this show the Oppression Session. And we don't want to communicate that, hey, to our listeners, hey, San Bernardino cities and counties have the exact same programs as Chicago. What we really want our listeners to understand is that Chicago is a bit like the canary in the coal mine. That's an old analogy, but coal miners used to bring a canary in when they did the work, and when the CO2 level came up, the canaries were very sensitive, and the canaries would die. And the coal miners would know, hey, we need to get out. In this case, Chicago is very much a canary, in that it's going to show us what governments do when they become cash strapped. And certainly our position at U-Turn would be that our local governments are, because of budget and particularly the pension systems, are becoming more and more cash strapped.
And why is this important, Tom?
It's important to everybody. When they're taking non-sustainable actions, then it has to be paid for in some manner. And the first step is to push it off into future generations, and it's basically a crime on our younger people to not pay for the government that we have now, but instead promise people that are working in government stuff that isn't paid for, and allow it for future generations to figure out how that's done, because it can only happen one way, and that is they have to take less services and pay more in the future. So there's a generational unfairness in what's going on. But after you've promised all you can and it's still not paying for all this growth, and we touched on the growth in our first show. I think 42% growth in the county budget, $1.8 billion over the last 10 years, where the people in the county only increased 4%. So at some point, you're looking for all things on the table to pay for that, and that includes these fines, these fees, raising absolutely anything they can to raise revenue. And the function of government becomes about raising revenue. So that's why we're looking into some of these examples from other areas that may be even a little worse off than we are here in San Diego County, but we're on that same path to getting there.
And speaking of, and going back to the article that we mentioned in Chicago, we're going to get a little bit into the story. This happened back in 2016. Police pulled over Spencer Bird, who we're going to have on the show, and they pulled him over for a broken turn signal. Bird says that he didn't have one, and then pretty much they impounded his car, and it just became a very messy situation where he has a lot of bills to pay because his car is impounded, a lot of fees, I should say, a lot of fees that he has to pay for not necessarily being guilty of anything till date.
Well, clearly, just taking a car from somebody over something like this is something people here would not think was reasonable. But it's got to that point over in Chicago because they need the revenue. And whether or not he had a broken signal, at some point you get to the point where it doesn't matter. The order goes out that you have a quota to write this many tickets, to get this, to impound this many cars, and those things just have a way of happening. So that's something we'll hear from him on.
Yeah, and I would encourage our listeners that if you have a story where you got caught by the bureaucracy and by got caught, I don't mean you did something wrong, but a situation where you were ground down, if you will, by a variety of regulations or fees or fines, and that affected you in an economic and painful way. We'd really like to hear your story.
Absolutely, and our phone number is 909-792-5222. That's 909-792-5222. And we're going to have Spencer Bird with us today so he can tell us his story and just pretty much his situation and how it happened to develop the story. But before we bring him on, or actually we'll bring him on right before we go into commercial break. Spencer? Spencer?
Yes.
Hi, welcome to U-Turn Radio Show. How are you?
How are you? How are you doing today?
Good. I just wanted to introduce you before we go into a commercial break. Spencer is calling us from Chicago where this happened. And when we get back from commercials, we'll have you tell a little bit of your story and your background, Spencer.
No problem.
When we come back, U-Turn Radio Show.
We'll be right back to U-Turn after this commercial break. Don't go away.
Did you know that every dollar you put into a piece of real estate makes you money 5 ways? Cash flow, money in your pocket each month. Equity capture, the thousands of dollars you create when you have the right team and buy the right property using the right map. Appreciation, real estate doubles in value about every 10 years. Equity buildup, renters pay down your mortgage each month. And finally, the tax advantage. We pay almost no taxes on our cash flow and capital gains. These are the 5 ways we make money in real estate, which is why real estate accounts for more millionaires in the world today than any other investment vehicle. You should have some real estate in your portfolio. To learn how, attend one of our free workshops. Call 1-866-971-8970 or go to getmymapnow.com and register for the next available workshop. That's 866-971-8970 or getmymapnow.com.
This segment of programming sponsored by Cybertime Network Communications. How's your internet? Slower than what you were paying for? Feeling boxed in with the high cost of the internet? It can be frustrating and expensive, and with net neutrality coming, it's not getting any easier. Ready for a better high-speed internet service? Then you're ready for Cybertime. And they're local and right in your own backyard. Cybertime provides connectivity for all our transmissions you're listening to at KCAA. Cybertime is locally owned and will respond to your needs with the best service. It's crisp, cool, fast, and sleek. Cybertime uses the latest, leading-edge microwave technology to be able to offer clients a safe, reliable, public or private network that fits almost any budget size. Numerous local city agencies rely on Cybertime's microwave private network for their most critical mission applications. You should too. Get connected, stay connected, get smart, get Cybertime. You can Google, text, or call Cybertime Network Communications at 909-795-9559. Cybertime Network Communications in Calamasa.
They said it really loud and said Why are you listening to this radio station? Why? When you can host your own radio show. You're listening and you think you can do better? You have a message or a product you want everyone to know about. Host your own radio show. Team up with the area's best radio professionals and let them make you sound like you should be on NBC. KCAA NBC Radio, that is. KCAA produces more than 50 local programs each week on subjects ranging from business and sports to political talk, vegan diets, or even marijuana-related issues. We don't just broadcast on the radio, we broadcast to the world. Online, on TV, on social media, on Facebook. You'll be all over. Imagine what your friends will say. And KCAA reaches over 5 million people on 3 radio stations. Join the staff on 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. NBC Radio. Jump on the KCAA Express. Call 909-793-1065. That's 909-793-1065 and get ready to transmit.
Tom, Nadia, and Eric are back with more only on the U-Turn radio show right here on KCAA.
Welcome back to U-Turn Radio Show. Before the break, we introduced Spencer Bird from Chicago, who got pulled over by the cops, and since his car has been impounded, Spencer has fallen under Chicago's aggressive vehicle impound program, which seizes cars and fines owners thousands of dollars for dozens of different offenses. The program impounds cars when the owner beats a criminal case or isn't charged with a criminal criminal case in the first place. So let's get to know a little bit of Spencer. Spencer, welcome back.
Okay.
So Spencer, let's get to know you a little bit before we get into your story. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Chicago.
What part of Chicago?
In Henry Horner, Park Zone Lake, and by Lake in Washington.
So
then I moved to the south suburbs of Barry, Illinois.
So take us a little bit back. What was your lifestyle like growing up there?
Oh, I had a wonderful lifestyle. Two-parent household, education, very nice time, fulfilled childhood.
What was your teenage? Did you have teenage jobs out there? Tell us a little bit about like you growing up as far as work out there.
As far as working as a teenager,
yes.
I did summer programs, working with community economic development, and then as I got in high school, I ain't worked primarily during high school because I was into sports.
Okay, what sport did you play?
I played basketball and football.
Oh, nice. So now, you grow up, you have a family now too, right?
Yes.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2 children and 2 grandchildren.
So, you had a good lifestyle, ball player in high school. Tell us a little bit about what you did before we get into your case. I was reading that you're a mechanic.
Yes, my father was a mechanic, and coming up in age, he taught us how to work on cars and things of that nature. His favorite line said, "If I get it, you fix it." And he taught us how to work on various cars and things of that nature.
So now let's get into your case. What happened on June 21st?
Like I say, I was coming from picking up my daughter from summer school, and I had dropped her off. And I was going to check on a client that was having some car trouble. And I went over to inspect the car to see whether I can fix it on the spot, which I usually do, because I'm a carpenter firsthand, and a mechanic is a side hustle that I was doing. And I couldn't fix the vehicle on the spot, and then for not leaving the person stranded, they asked could I drop them off at their location, and I was like, no problem, because we couldn't do nothing for the vehicle.
Right.
And upon going home or taking this person to their location, I turned the signal light on and made a left turn, and the officers had got behind me, and that's how the whole thing started. And I know my signal lights and things were in proper order, and it's been chaos ever since then.
So your car gets impounded. You get pulled over. They take you in, and your car gets impounded at that time, correct?
Yes.
At the time, what did they tell you as far as getting your car out? What was once you went in and they ask you, I'm assuming the questions.
Right.
Once you leave, what happens then?
Okay, like I said, first of all, like I said, I wasn't charged with anything.
Okay.
They said my car will be going in for investigation. That was like, no problem. No problem. So then they released me. So I called the next day to see how can I go about getting the vehicle. And then they said, you have to go downtown to the Daily Building. Then so on. I did that. Then it was paperwork from there on. And it was 6 months before I heard anything back from the Daily Building about my first court date. Then I went to do that. And then it was red tape and things of that nature, to where they was having me as just sitting around waiting for no reason.
Right.
Until they never kind of explained it to me to why what it was until the end of the whole situation. Because they had started charging me storage fees and toll fees and things of that nature, and it had got up to the storage fee had got up to like $19,000.
Wait. Can I jump here, Spencer? So you let me make sure I'm hearing this correctly. So you were driving with the customer that you didn't know because you're a mechanic on the side in repair cars. You got stopped, and although you were not guilty, you weren't even charged with anything, nothing like that. Your car was taken, and you didn't even kind of hear back. Couldn't even get into court for 6 months. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And your car is, I'm assuming that you're, as a carpenter, where you're kind of an independent. In other words, I'm assuming your car was pretty much a key portion of your business and your ability to produce income.
Yes, that was my livelihood. Yes, it was, because I carried all my tools in it, my carpentry tools, as well as my mechanic tools, because, like I say, you never know when I might get a call and I have to go work on a car on the spot. But there's, like I said, carpentry things I just keep with me, so when I go on job sites, because I started off as a union carpenter until the economy fell apart. Then I stepped away from the union and started doing my own carpentry work.
Okay, so your livelihood is now tied up in a garage somewhere in Chicago.
Yes, and I haven't been able to get on track ever since then.
So Spencer, did they take not only your car, but they took the tools in it?
Tools in it, yes, and I was unable to retrieve the tools because the car was under investigation.
So when you went back to court, when was your next time when you went back to court? This after 6 months that you heard back from them?
Yes, I went back to court, and then they had gave me another continuance, because they were, like I say, when they first started, they kept giving me continuance. And then I was asking them about my vehicle. Can I get my vehicle to, because this is my livelihood. So the court gave me a hardship. That's where you can get your vehicle and go to work while the court is going on, the court process is going on. So they asked me to pick up, go do 3 different things. They told me because while they were waiting, the insurance, they had to let the insurance expire on it, things of that nature. So they said, go get your insurance, prove to me that you are in a union, and it was one other thing they asked me for. Go get. I don't have the paperwork on me, but I can get it. And I went and did these 3 things. And I brought it back to the court, so they granted me a hardship so where I can go get the car. So I'm like, ooh, at least I can go to work.
Right.
While they trying to do what they got to do. But once I went to go pick up the car, they denied it. The city of Chicago denied it. Said, we don't do hardship. And
but did you show them the paperwork that you got from the judge at that time?
Yes, I did.
So the difference was the court was a state court, right? And the city said we're not going to We don't care what
Yeah,
the
we're
state
not
says.
honoring that. That's what I found out way later on down the line because I was not to understand why is the city a whole separate entity from the county in the state. I thought the state was over everything because this is not my realm that I'm in. I've worked hard all my life, no problem, no felonies, no nothing, and they have just been giving me the runaround ever since. Because when I brought them the hardship, they before I even found out that you had to go to a court within the city of Chicago, they fined me right there in the hallway. Like, here, just charging $2,000 and typed it into my file. I'm like, how can you do that? And I ain't even went to court on anything yet. Haven't been charged with anything. And that's been it ever since. Been fighting it ever since.
So they tell you that you can't get your car out. You go back to court and try to figure it out, or what do you do then?
I go back to the judge that gave me the hardship, and then she tried to work with me to try to figure out what was going on. And then we had been going to court all that time, and then she's like, I have to deal with the city on a whole common level. And I was like, well, let's finish the case first, because with me still working with the state, trying to figure out if I'm guilty or not guilty, which I knew I was innocent. Then once the case had ended, like you say, a whole 2 years later, so I thought, okay, now I can go get the car since I've been exonerated of everything. The car was released from an investigation and everything. So I take that back to the city of Chicago. They were like, no, you still owe us some money. Why do I owe y'all any money when I was exonerated?
How much money did they say you owed them at that point?
Okay, altogether, the city says I had owed them $2,000 for the car, and for some tickets I had got back in high school. So that'd be like from 86, 87. So they all tied up all of that together. So it all adds up to about $3,500. And I can't understand why, this all came about for something that I didn't do. Totally exonerated. That should have been wiped away. If the state could wipe away $20,000 on something they know they didn't have no proper cause of doing, why can't the city wipe away the little $2,000 or $3,500 for something that they know they was wrongful in doing in the first place?
So that Spencer, the state of Chicago wiped out. You said was it close to $20,000 in charges?
Yeah.
What were those charges?
Well, storage, put a vehicle in the impound yard.
Oh, okay, so like a daily, because they took your car, they're going to pay, whatever it was, $100 a day until you get it out of here.
Yes.
And you have the car that we were talking about here. It's a '96 Cadillac Fleetwood DeVille, right?
Yes.
Which
and
from,
like I said,
I'm sorry, from the article that I was reading, it's valued at roughly at $1,600.
Yes, $1,600. Yes, it is. It's like I say, and then like I say, it's the principle of it's my livelihood, and the principle of the car, like I say, it was left from my brother passing he had a sudden death, and he gave it to his son. And by me working on the car, because the car hadn't ran in a while, so I gave it to his son, and his son, more or less like Uncle, asked me, can I fix it? So I brought the car to my house, my home, and fixed it and got it running. And then the vehicle that I was driving to go to work had went down. So he was like, you could drive the car for a little while. Because, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, because he was away at school. And while he was away, this happened.
So where does your case stand now? Where are you as far as today with your car?
Okay, as far as today, like I say, the case is totally been. Like I say, I've been exonerated for the case. It's been thrown out. It's been done. I have been, like I say, the car's been released from investigation. I had a release for the police pound and everything. But the city of Chicago says I owe them the money, and they are not releasing it without any money. And I didn't try to go to the mayor's office. I done went, appellate courts, everything, trying to figure out to review this case and get this thing taken care of. But
so I would imagine, Spencer, if you just walked away from the car, they'd keep going after you for this money forever. And if you got another car, they'd probably impound that too, right?
Yes, sir, for that to retrieve the money.
Yeah. And it doesn't cost $20,000 to keep a car in an impound lot. There sounds like there's some profit motivation.
Yes,
in
it's a
it.
business. Yeah.
It's a business trying to make money.
It's not coming to the light. But like I said, I know I'm not the first person that this didn't happen to. I'm just the only one that spoke out about it.
No, we saw an article that says this is a normal course of business out there, and it's there's probably more unfair cases than even we're talking about. But the purpose is to use their power as the police power to take you into custody, take your things from you, and to raise revenue off that. And that's where it can get to when you need the revenue on the other side. And that's what it's got to all start with, putting some controls on government before they get to the point where they're in a strapped thing, because when they are, this is the kind of thing that happens to the citizens.
Can you describe a little bit, Spencer, like the consequences that have been happening to you economically or physically or even emotionally?
Yes, it's been traumatic. Like I say, unable to pay my bills, unable to support my family, and things of that nature. Not knowing how you're going to do with the next situation, because I'm not used to. This is the first time I've ever been in it. Being stressful, getting gray hair to this knowledge. Because at this point, if it wasn't for the article, I was done, because I couldn't figure out what to do. I had tried to do everything the proper way, going to court, spending money, borrowing money to get to court, and all of these things, and even it just pushed me further and further behind. And it's been a hard 2 years, hard.
So you're not out there in the normal way, earning money, paying taxes, buying things, paying taxes on that, and supporting them in this thing. That's how short-sighted it becomes. Is not only are they preventing you from earning the money to pay off this thing they've taken from you improperly, but they're also preventing you from earning money which they get a piece of to support them anyway. So when it gets like this, it's a snowball effect, and less revenue comes in, people are more oppressed, and that's what everyone needs to be wary of in all kinds of places. And when it starts with government spending getting out of hand, for them not paying their bills as they come due, and not looking at the people that live in the county and how much they can afford. And San Bernardino County, where we're at, is a very poor place, as well as this area, Chicago, you're from. In general, there's certainly rich enclaves, and there's middle-class enclaves, and there's higher-end stuff. And certainly the people that work for the county now are occupying more of that higher end areas, just by nature of how much they're making, and that probably don't sense these problems as bad.
Right.
Spencer, out here, the median household income in San Bernardino County is about $55,000 a year, and elected officials over the county actually earn north of 4 to 5 times what the median in the county makes.
Not just the elected officials, but I think everybody that's working in the county on average makes about twice. And that just detaches them from the people in the county and people, with these type of problems. If your neighbor comes to you with a problem like this and you work at the county, then you're in a position to understand that if you don't even live in that neighborhood, you don't hear about stuff like this, and it goes without any effective help, and your problems get worse.
Spencer, have you heard, now that you've shared your story and that you shared your story in the article, have you heard of other cases like yours?
No, I haven't at this time, because how the article is that it's online, and like I say, I have shared it with a few people, but they have read it and things of that nature. It hasn't been spread out as much as it would be as in if the article was done in Illinois, because the gentleman that wrote the article is from Oregon, and his Instagram account is on his Instagram account, more or less on I believe that's the East Coast or up there, and like I say, it's being shared a little bit, but I can't gauge on who all has read it.
So, Spencer, is it well known that the city and the police in the area where you live make a habit of taking people's vehicles from them and other punitive measures to raise revenue, or do you think you're just an isolated case?
No, I don't believe I'm an isolated case. I believe it's like you say, they have put this in made it law, just like when they're run behind on sometimes when they say on the ticket revenue thing. They send them out there, you need more ticket revenue to write more tickets. And this was a situation where they found that they can use it to increase revenue for the city of Chicago, because for the ones who owe money on their cars and things of that nature, they crush the car, or they possibly resell it on the wholesale level. I'm not for sure on that, but it's definitely being done. And and like I say, for the ones who out there who are innocent, yes, I'm in that boat. But if you out there doing wrong, that's, it should happen. Like I say, I'm not by any chance promoting that they should stop this, but I'm innocent. I didn't do nothing wrong. And for the next person who is in my boat or in my situation, should be, get their car back, because they didn't do anything wrong. Now, for the ones that are out there selling drugs and doing things wrong and getting caught in that system, yes, their vehicle should get taken, or the necessary measures for that to happen. But I'm just speaking on the innocent one.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that Eric, your question. Yeah, they're Chicago's definitely working over. They have in the last year 17 million in fines for 31 different types of offenses, and that ranges from DUI, which that's probably valid, all the way down to fines for driving with the music too loud, and interestingly, 3 million of that was for drug offenses. 10 million was for fines for driving with a suspended license. So you can, from that number, I would kind of say, well, 3 million from drug offenses, but another 10 million from people who likely are driving without a license because they can't afford one.
Spencer, let me ask you, back to your case. Right now, how much is your total debt that you need to pay off to get your car back today?
I would believe to total it off, like I say, it would be around, I want to say about 45 to 5,000, because once I get pay the tickets and give them their money, I can't get the car out without the registration. I can't get it out without having the proper insurance, because now I got to renew all this stuff in order to get it from them. So it's a round figure of around that. Like I said, with the tickets and all the other items that need to be done to get the car, it's just an ongoing situation, because this is just, and that's where I'm at right now.
And you have a GoFundMe page where we invite our listeners, if you can donate to this case, you can go to GoFundMe page, and it would be under Good Deed Gone Wrong. So we invite our listeners, if possible, and if they would like to donate to this case, you can find them at GoFundMe.com and just type in A Good Deed Gone Wrong.
Spencer, that it doesn't make a lot of sense. If the car's only worth $1,600, that you wouldn't just go buy another car. But I think the problem then would be that they'd keep going after you for this $4,500. Is that
right.
the case, or because the state court exonerated you, maybe they can't go after you for that? Do you know how that shakes out?
Well, no, but like I say, it's just an accumulation of, like I say, the situation. Like I say, plus the car has all my tools in it, and I can't.
So you need to get
like,
those too. Yeah, that's true.
And that's my life. See, and that's another part. Like I don't know if they're still in there, but I'm praying that they are. But like I say, it's just an accumulation of the things. Like I say, with a car, it's $2,000 to get out, and they won't let.
Well, I would say there's
get the car without doing something with the ticket.
I would say that you should go back to them and not just take whatever they're trying to charge you, but say, look, you got a car there that's worth $1,600. You're going to sell it. You're going to get $1,600. So can't we work this out? What if I pay you $1,600?
Well, believe me, sir, I have tried everything. I've been at this for at least a year trying to figure out help. They don't give you any break to no avail because they just more or less, we want our money.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we want some money. Because if I had the money to get the vehicle out, I'd have been got it out. I'd have paid the money. Because for one, like I say, it has the tools in it. And like I say, some people look at it in a different way. It has sentimental value. Mm-hmm. And just because, like I say, it's a 96 end of that, it's a clean vehicle. The vehicle is in immaculate condition, in a thing. I don't know what it looks like now, but like I say, to the fact that I still have to.
Yeah, it's part of your family. And
it's a family heirloom.
Well, we're going to help you a little bit on that, Spencer. So, Nadia, go ahead.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Like I say,
oh, go ahead.
No, because I was going to say, did you? Because sometimes if you do the GoFundMe page, if you don't, I believe you have that link. I don't know if that link makes a difference, but the good deed go wrong. Sometimes it don't come up, but hopefully it does. And like I say, and I appreciate you taking the time out to hear my story and or read it as well.
Absolutely. Here at U-Turn Radio Show, Spencer, let me tell you a little bit of what we do here. All of our listeners usually that call in get a reward. In this case, you were our guest and shared your story. So we definitely have a spin the wheel type of game here. So Tom is going to spin the wheel, and that's how much we will donate to this cause.
Okay.
So Tom, you want to go ahead and spin the wheel and see how much?
Yeah, Spencer, usually what we do is spin it and the caller gets to name their favorite charity. But today we're gonna, wherever this dial ends up, you're gonna get a check for that. So let me go ahead and hit the spinner.
Okay.
And it landed on 1,200.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, I'm happy with that. Thank you very much.
And Spencer, I would think that with what you already have in there, you could probably go down there with cash in hand and maybe negotiate with them a little bit. They should listen to reason.
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
Having worked in the government, I have maybe a different perspective, and that is there's nothing less flexible than a bureaucracy that has rules and has a piece of paper. So, yeah, definitely try it and see how it works out. But I'm maybe a little more cynical about that than Eric.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll check in with you and see how that worked out.
Absolutely. So, and we want to take the time to thank you, too, for your time, Spencer. We really appreciate it for sharing your story.
And I appreciate you as well. I'd just like to say one more thing. Like I said, I would like to say Happy Mother's Day to the mothers and to the single fathers that's out there taking care of the things they need to do. And if you feel in your heart, please help me on the GoFundMe page. And I really would appreciate and God bless.
Thank you, Spencer.
Thank you, Spencer. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Spencer.
And we're gonna go. We're gonna go ahead and go into a commercial break. We'll be right back. This is U-Turn Radio Show.
U-Turn is coming right back. Don't go away.
Hi, everybody. Ray Lucia here with some important information about debt, your debt. Whether you have a first or second mortgage, you're looking to buy or refi a home or rental property, or just need to consolidate your credit cards to lower your payments and save some serious interest, you need to do some loan financial planning with Steve Aladort, my mortgage man, at loanfinancialplanner.com. Now, Steve's not your garden variety mortgage broker. He actually spends time evaluating how you can use the current super competitive interest rates to pay off your mortgage early. purchase a rental property, improve your cash flow, upgrade to your dream home, or even help your kids or grandkids get into a house. That's what loan financial planning is all about. Steve's been helping me and my listeners for over 2 decades, and I can tell you he is the best finance guy in the business. Go to loanfinancialplanner.com. That's loanfinancialplanner.com.
Or call Steve Alladort at 888-563-1070. That's 888-563-1070.
Know your rights and responsibilities. You're a hardworking student. You've grown up here. You're striving and working towards the American dream. You're a dreamer, and maybe you need to renew your DACA deferral. Now is the time to take action. On January 9th, the District Court ordered a halt to President Trump's efforts to terminate the deferred action for childhood arrivals, or DACA. And now the Department of Homeland Security is now accepting DACA renewal applications. Now you can get free DACA renewal assistance from the Todek Legal Center. The Todek Center may also provide you with payment assistance with up to $495 in immigration fees to renew. Stay here, stay home, stay with your family. You're valued, loved, wanted, and needed. Get free legal screening and consultation, application assistance, and legal representation. For more info, search todec.org. That's TODEC.org. Or call for upcoming workshops at 951-943-1955. That's 951-943-1955 for the Todek Legal Center. And dream on.
I'm so tired of the buffering on my smartphone.
I'm so over it. Next.
Right? I am so over it. Next.
A radio? Next.
No buffering, just your favorite local radio station?
Next Radio uses the FM tuner that is already built into your phone, so you can listen to your favorite stations on the go. Because Next Radio uses the FM tuner already built into your smartphone, it saves on data and battery usage. When compared to streaming audio, Next Radio uses less than 1/10 of your data, and your battery will last 3 times longer. Next Radio, it's FM radio on your smartphone.
Introducing a radio inside your cell phone. Listen to all kinds of local radio stations, including KCAA 106.5 Yucaipa and 102.3 Riverside on Next Radio. Download the free Next Radio app today. 100% free, 100% fun, 0% buffering. Stop the buffer and listen to KCAA.
Tom, Nadia, and Eric are back with more only on the U-Turn radio show right here on KCAA.
Welcome back to U-Turn Radio Show. Thank you so much to our guest Spencer Bird for sharing his story from Chicago, where the city impounded his car and is charging him fees after fees, even though he was found not guilty. But this is a way of Chicago trying to pay down their debt. They use impounding innocent people's cars, and we helped out. We spun the wheel, and we're helping him with $1,200 for his costs. So that was exciting. I always love to give money away, even though it's not my money. And speaking of money too, Mark was our first caller for our first show, and his charity was the Mission of San Bernardino, and he had won $200. So I would want to make sure that we say that we got a hold of his charity, and we have sent his reward to his charity as well. And
that's the best part of the show.
Yes, I think I look forward to it. I want to win them a lot of money. And speaking of all these, how the city or the county uses these type of taxes or different fees to pay their debt, Eric, you had a situation as well here in our county at the airport, right?
Yeah, I think it illustrates, what's going on here locally, and that's, everybody doesn't fly out of the airport, but I do occasionally. And on one occasion in the last couple months, I parked in the long-term parking, walked over to the terminal. It was $9 a day to park, and flew out. And two weeks later, maybe, I came back, and I was checking out of the parking, and they were charging me $13 a day. And I asked them what happened, and they just said we had a fee raise. And that's a pretty dramatic fee raise. If you figure the percentage, I'm sure that's in the 35% plus or something like that range of a fee raise all of a sudden. And I had been told about, I know a little more about what's going on in the county than maybe the average person. And during this time period, the person who was the chief executive officer of the county stepped down being the chief executive officer and became a consultant for the county, where he gets a big fee every month. And then he also went and started consulting with all the cities. And I didn't know that he was consulting with the airport, but I called somebody that I knew after that when I was driving away from the lot, and I said, tell me, is this person now consulting with the airport? And sure enough, he had just started that week. And that was the first action he took, was let's go raise these fees in no relationship to maybe what costs are. And I kept driving around the airport, and I noticed that the landscaping was dying, the signs weren't maintained. They weren't using it for stuff at the airport. It just becomes something where if it's all about raising fees and raising revenues for government, it's where can you do that? They have a saying, how to pluck the goose to get the least amount of hissing and the most amount of feathers. And that's what the goal becomes. And they felt they could get away with that fee, so they do it. But a fee for anything that the county does should really be on something like a parking lot. It should be, let's recover the amount that we paid for the parking lot, and then let's cover our costs of running this parking lot, because people have to have a place to park at the airport. Right. It's not a revenue generator opportunity. Every county function should not be a revenue generating opportunity. It shouldn't be they start charging admission for the parks because people have to go there for Little League games or something like that. But that seems to be where a lot of this leads to. So that's a kind of something I could bring up on this show, and I have a lot more that I can talk about. And I'm not in the middle of dealing with the county all the time. I'm sure our listeners have plenty of experiences on their own.
Absolutely, and we invite listeners, we invite you to call in and tell us your stories, just like the one that Eric shared, or even Spencer. Our phone number is 909-792-5222. That's 909-792-5222. But that kind of really wraps it up for us as well over here at KCAA. But we want to thank everybody for listening in. We want to thank Spencer for calling in. And I think that these are really important issues, too, that we deal with on a regular basis, and we have no control, really. Or do we have control? And how can we have control?
Well, when you try and exercise your rights as a citizen to try and get a ballot initiative to restrain the growth of government, put it on the ballot like we did and like we described in our second show, and then the county turns around and sues you, there's a very good argument that you don't have any rights. And that's what we're trying to do on this show, is to talk to people about the problems, why they matter, and try and get people informed enough that they can help enforce their rights. We'll try and lead in some manner to do that. And as Mark said, a caller on our first show, you need a plan and everyone will get behind you. We'll try and provide that, but we need some more active role taken by the people that are affected by these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was Mark's call on the first show was really good, because he talked about communication and a plan, and this is this show U-Turn is the communication part, and the plan is we're trying to get people to jump in and start working.
And that's it for us here at U-Turn Radio Show. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Eric, and thank you, the listener.
Happy Mother's Day.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts